And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy.
I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Get together, have a few laughs.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Teepee.
And I'm your host, Theo.
And today, what we're going to bring you is a few articles around the world, all right? The first one we want to talk about is a Texas lawyer that was shot in the face by Dick Cheney a while ago. You might remember him. We got a little bit to say about him.
I remember that. That was, without looking at the article, it was a while ago, right?
It was a while ago. And
we got, after that, we got Jeffrey Epstein emailed multiple pictures of women to J.P. Morgan Chase executive who was supposed to be regulating his bank accounts lawsuit says by Matthew Lowe of Business Insider, February 16, 2023.
Yeah, we'll get into that, quote-unquote, women, okay? And then for the third one today, we're going to bring you a Lou Rockwell article that was named "The Federal Government is Tracking the Unvaxxed"
by Dr. Joseph Mercola, and yeah, I read that the day it came out or was published on Lou Rockwell, and it's freaky, folks.
Yeah, that's so. We'll
freaky.
We'll save the scary stuff for the end. So let's get into this first one. Texas lawyer who was shot in the face by Dick Cheney, then apologized to the VP for it, dies age 95.
Yeah, a guy I know said one time, Dick Cheney is so freaking good that he shot somebody in the face and got the guy to publicly apologize.
Yeah,
and it's gangsta. True. That's some Gambino shit,
right
there.
Yeah,
You shoot me in a dream, you better wake up and apologize.
You bet. Yeah.
I'd do it again in a minute.
Harry Whittington. He was a Texas lawyer. He infamously apologized to the then vice president for getting shot in the face in 2006. This was on a hunting expedition.
Yeah, pheasant hunting or something.
So, what I know from,
might have been some beers involved.
Or some other stuff, who knows. What I know, in the Marine Corps, we call that a negligent discharge. There's no such thing as an accidental discharge. Just straight, pure negligence.
Sure.
Okay. So, this article called it, "The accidental shooting unfolded on 11 February 2006, midway through Mr. Cheney's second term as vice president to George W. Bush, when the two men were among a group hunting quail on a South Texas ranch.
Quail.
When a group of birds took flight, Mr. Cheney had wheeled around and taken a shot." The article says accidentally, but I'm going to fix it for him. "Negligently shooting Whittington in the face and torso." It was just bird shot. Don't worry about it. Quit being a pussy.
I haven't done much bird hunting in my day, but I think one of the things you're not supposed to do with birds is an extensive travel with the muzzle of your weapon.
I mean, you can. Situation always dictates.
Sure, but you have to know what your field is, what your range is, right?
Know your target, what lies beyond it, or in this case, in front of it.
If there's a certain marker, and you can do it really quick, that bird or birds fly past, it's over. It's done. If they fly past that,
sometimes you gotta be
quick.
Put
it down, and it's over.
Sometimes I've done a lot of. I love pheasant hunting here in Iowa. That's a big deal. And you also, if they pop up too soon, you gotta let them get out because 12 gauge is pretty decent shot, and one of our hunters straight up JFK'd this bird, dude, like with its body because it popped up and he just shot, and boy was that a mess, right? So there's a technique to it. You don't just go around shooting everything that pops up.
Well, I think that if you and I went
Or just pulling the trigger when it pops up, I should say.
If you and I went pheasant hunting and I shot you, I could be held criminally liable, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, any normal...
And in the Marine Corps, you would suffer...
Oh, I'd go to brig. I go to the brig, I get NJP.
I was going to say, yeah, judicial process and all that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't, right? But within our battalion, we had a blue-on-blue incident. And yeah, that Marine went to the brig and was eventually kicked out and all this stuff and everything. Like, it wasn't a good deal.
For our listeners that don't know military terminology, more particularly Navy, Marine Corps terminology, the brig is jail.
Yes.
Went to jail. He got locked up.
And blue on blue means, like what happened to, what's his name? That NFL star.
Pat Tillman?
Yeah. He got shot and killed by his own guys. So, it happens, unfortunately. But anyway, getting back to the article. It said, yeah.
Well, the story is that he passed away peacefully at his home early on Saturday morning. His wife, Mercedes Baker, confirmed to the New York Times. This is February 6th from the Independent.
But the crazy thing was, and it was, you can get on YouTube and find the video of him. Actually, I'll play the clip. But he gets up in front of the world and apologizes to Vice President Cheney.
Right. I am so sorry that I put the Cheney family through this.
Yeah, my family and I are deeply sorry for all that Vice President Cheney and his family had to go through these past weeks. He literally said that. That's a quote unquote.
That was his public apology.
Yeah. So
there's a picture of him there.
It's crazy.
My family and I are deeply sorry for all that Vice President Cheney and his family have had to go through this past week. We send our love and respect to them as they deal with situations that are much more serious than what we've had this week.
Fortunately, he passed away peacefully.
And not by a 20 or 12 gauge in the face.
By a former vice president.
From the vice president at the time.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Darth Cheney. I remember Vice President Cheney and the guy on the Democrat ticket for vice president, John Edwards. You remember the senator from South Carolina? Yeah! Turd face. I remember there was a picture of him and his wife eating a meal in Burger King because that was their first date. That's where they...
Oh, how romantic.
Went on their first date. Yeah, and she was like terminally ill and whatnot. Bless her. I don't know what's happened since. And this was, gosh, a long time ago. But shortly after that, it came out that he was, having an affair with some young lady and corresponding with her.
Wow!
Throughout the process of it coming public, and he was like, "All right, baby, we'll get through this. We're gonna get through this."
I mean, I'm gonna get through it.
Yeah.
That's just that's sick, really. I mean, how could you do that to your wife? I mean, cheating on your wife in general. Yeah. In general, to me, that's just a scumbag move. I mean, to each their own. Do whatever you want. It's your life.
Some couples do that kind of stuff
but to cheat on her when she's terminally ill.
Sure, I mean, hey,
that's so low.
I would imagine that in those parts, that's the status quo.
Mm.
But hey,
well, who was that one cat that came out and was invited to all those like sex parties in Congress?
Oh, that young kid, Madison Cawthorn or whatever from North Carolina. Yeah,
look at all these people. A lot of them that I've looked up to through my life. I've always paid attention to politics, guys that then all of a sudden you get invited to, like, well, hey, we're going to have kind of a sexual get-together at one of our homes. You should come. And I'm like, what did you just ask me to come to? Yeah. And then you realize they're asking you to come to an orgy. Yeah. Or the fact that, there's some of the people that are leading on the movement to try and remove, addiction in our country. And then you watch them do, a key bump of cocaine right in front of you.
On that debate stage, I want to say it was like 2004. Yeah, because the ticket was John Kerry, John Edwards, and then
Bush.
What do they call them? Incumbents were Bush, Cheney, right?
Yeah.
So they asked this question about the ruin in Iraq at the time, right? and John Edwards, he gives his answer and whatnot, and talking about all the service members and all this stuff, talking about the strain it's taken on the American people and American families and whatnot. And then Cheney, just brilliantly, in typical, completely cold, heartless, DC insider fashion, he's like, well, I think the thing that Mr. Edwards is forgetting about here is the incredible toll that this war has taken on the Iraqi people. And John Edwards is like, I did not forget no, I was not trying to make light of that. And Dick Cheney's like, but you did. And he just like looked at him, and Edwards shut his mouth, man, on the debate stage. No, just like, listen here, boy. And like, I'm the one on the stage with the power.
Yeah.
And Edwards looked like a school child, man. But back in like the 19th century, school child.
Well,
when they whipped him.
I remember watching that Robin Williams stand up when he was ripping on W, and he was like, he don't say nothing unless Cheney's looking at him. You ever notice that? Like George W. Bush he was like,
I guess I don't remember.
And notice this, my friends. W doesn't speak while Cheney's drinking water. Check that shit out.
That guy wielded a lot more power than I think just the vice president.
Yeah,
honestly.
that's the thing. That's what he shot somebody in the face, got them to apologize publicly. I mean, made a senator, an acting senator, but running for
president,
vice president at the time, look like a freaking child, dude. On national television. This dude has a lot of power, man.
Yeah,
ton.
And especially after he shot old Harry in the face, nobody messed with him after that.
No, everybody knew.
They were like, okay.
That Dirty Harry was not the baddest guy on the block anymore.
Yeah.
This guy named Dick from Casper, Wyoming.
Don't call me Dick for no reason, okay? He lives up to his name, folks. All right. So moving on to the next article, then. I think that's all we got to say about that. And, our prayers are with his family.
Jeffrey Epstein emailed multiple pictures of women to a J.P. Morgan Chase executive who was supposed to be regulating his bank accounts, lawsuit says February 16th, 2023. Matthew Lowe, Business Insider.
Yeah. I like how he uses women here, and then he goes on in the very first bullet point to say young women. So, women, quote-unquote, by women he means teenagers, preteens.
1,200 emails, unredacted emails. In between these guys, 1,200 emails, correspondence,
right?
Between just some. What do you even call Jeff Epstein? Old Jeffy,
pedophile.
Old Jeff,
kingpin, the pedophile kingpin,
the guy that hung himself,
right under suicide
when
watch.
somebody did some sort of a Jedi mind trick on the CCTV.
Yeah, super weird. Anyway, it said also in these emails they would make veiled references to Disney movies like Snow White.
That is so sick, dude.
Well, it doesn't surprise me because Disney kind of has a reputation. I mean, we could do a show on them, but that they're big time. They might
for dicks under the sea.
I mean, hey, Walt Disney was a pretty big fan of Adolf Hitler.
Oh, was he?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Remember back in the 90s, all those movies that were coming out with, like, sex?
Dicks Under the Sea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Naked women, topless women and stuff.
Boobs.
Jessica Rabbit flaunting her freaking...
knockers?
Yeah, her axe wound at everybody. No, not just flaunting her knockers.
Oh.
There was a scene that had to be omitted out,
the undercarriage?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. When she's coming out of Toontown and the taxi cab wrecks or whatever. Oh yeah, there's some messed up stuff, dude. I've done a lot of research into Disney. Oh yeah.
It's nuts.
It's sickening. But anyways, back to the article here. Jeffrey Epstein repeatedly emailed photos of young women. It says women, but I'm going to fix it for him. Children to his banker at J.P. Morgan Chase between 2008 and 2012, according to newly unredacted details in a U.S. Virgin Island lawsuit against the bank. Now, remember, we brought up the U.S. Virgin lawsuit in one of our previous episodes, so that's a continuing deal happening. It says the details of the government lawsuit revealed on Wednesday said among 1,200 emails exchanged between Epstein and his banker show the pair had a close personal relationship and profound friendship. The convicted sex offender and his banker, longtime J.P. Morgan Chase executive Jess Staley, would write to each other about how they had fun, the lawsuit said. I had a lot of fun on your island, man. It was awesome. They also reference Disney princess movies like Snow White and Beauty and the Beast, the lawsuit said. The court documents...
Mr. Beast.
The court
Is
documents...
it true that you have a, quote, eggplant-shaped penis? End quote.
I like how upset he got about that. I don't have to answer these questions. This is ridiculous.
I just remember him giving the old, I decline to answer any questions. I was surprised
I would really like to answer this, but my attorneys have advised me not to answer this question.
Yeah. An eggplant-shaped penis. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, maybe sometime we'll put together an Epstein episode, but there's so much, and it's crazy. It's
Maybe
sick.
we should do an episode on eggplant as well. It's wonderful.
It's
meal.
delicious.
Eggplant parmesan.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. I like that one.
You got to slice it thin and fry it.
So, the court documents say Staley wrote Epstein in an email in 2009, which read, I realize the danger in sending this email, but it was great to be able today to give you in New York City a long, heartfelt hug.
Oh, that is so sweet.
Thanks for making all my sick, disgusting, horrible dreams come true.
On some
poor
young lady I just had to buy some Versace for.
Yeah.
Sick. Disgusting.
Remember, this is the guy that worked with, that helped out Prince Andrew when Prince Andrew wasn't sweating back then. Absolute rubbish. I couldn't even sweat back then because of
That's very interesting because of the war in the Falklands, I had a condition which I was unable to sweat. So
post-traumatic stress. Yeah.
That's an actual quote. Well, I mean, like, not a quote, a paraphrase.
I'm pretty sure we've played it on the show.
Of Dirty Prince Andrew.
Yeah, I can play that clip again, but...
Who allegedly has precisely... Okay, I don't know the precise number, but I think it's like 72 teddy bears on his bed. That's what one guy claims that allegedly works security for him. 72 teddy bears.
Did he buy those teddy bears?
Teddy bears.
I'm sure that the...
Or do you think he kept them as souvenirs? I don't know. Speculation. You make the decision, folks. Epstein responded by sending Staley a photo of a young woman per court documents. All photos of the women were redacted in the lawsuit. Yeah, probably because they were underage.
Yeah. JP Morgan has a lot of financial power. This is a pretty big deal.
Yeah. They've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
They have deep roots in this country.
Yeah.
So nothing's probably going to happen to this guy.
Funded wars. World wars.
Other newly unredacted details show that 20 of Epstein's sex trafficking victims were paid through his 55 JP Morgan Chase accounts. Insiders Lloyd Lee and Jacob Shazmane reported. These women...
So how does that work? Like when you're a billionaire, you just have like 55 different accounts at one bank? You don't have just like one account with billions of dollars in it?
Well, you can
Forgive me for my billionaire ignorance. But
I think you can only have so much money in one account. There's something to do with that. Depends on what it is. But, hey, I don't know. He might have had multiple businesses opened up under each one of these accounts or something. You know what I mean? And different fronts.
I bet any one of those accounts, you and I could easily figure out a way to live the rest of our lives off of that amount of money.
Probably. Here's the other thing, though. If you're going to receive money from other people, you don't want all these people sending that money to one account, right? That would look suspicious on your hire.
Yeah, but it's the same name on all the accounts.
But if he's a business owner, if he's opened up all these LLCs like old Hunter Biden and his business pals have done, right? So I don't. That's speculation. Anybody that knows stuff about that, let us know. Tell us about it. So, getting back to the article, these women were trafficked and abused during different intervals between at least 2003 and July 2019. That's a long time. When Epstein was arrested and jailed. And these women received payments, typically multiple payments between 2003 and 2013 in excess of $1 million collectively, said the court documents. Wow. That's chump change to what he had, and he was making off of these people trafficking these girls, I'm sure.
How much now?
$1 million collectively. That's how much he paid out to some of these victims. And you got to understand also, if anybody's ever seen that documentary on Netflix, that special they ran for a while, a lot of these younger girls, they were from broken families, poor homes. They didn't know anything about the law, the finance. This guy had a yacht, had a private island, all this stuff. So he convinced them.
Do you want to go to this high-end mall in Miami and shop for the finest clothing?
Yeah. Be
there.
All you have to do is jerk me off or whatever.
That's, yeah.
But then they would manipulate him and convince him. And then Galen, she would gang stalk. Ghislaine would gang stalk or have these other females gang stalked and stuff all over the country. Like crazy stuff. Just watch that documentary. It's wild. So they would keep these girls.
Then she'd take her bra off and undress in front of them.
Well, then they would tell. This is after they were like, "Oh, I don't. This is wrong." And they're like, "Oh yeah, you think it's wrong? Well, you took money from us, so you're a prostitute. You're going to go to prison for this." And these girls are, "Oh my gosh," they would just manipulate him and lie to him, and it's really sick. It's a sick story. Like I said, we could throw together an episode sometime in the future on it, but. So, despite Staley's apparent close friendship with Epstein, J.P. Morgan Chase allowed Staley to manage the multimillionaire's funds, the lawsuit alleged. You don't think that's a conflict of interest, do you?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. In 2016, Epstein was flagged as a high-risk client by J.P. Morgan Chase due to reports that he was paying underage girls for sex, per court documents. Because, don't forget, there was multiple times where these girls or their family would try to go after Epstein only to have him pay him off, right?
Yeah.
And this other stuff.
And it was probably some intelligence agency doing it. Once again, speculation.
But, so that's...
educated guess.
Well, and there was the Attorney General in Florida? Didn't he have some big spot in Trump's cabinet?
I don't know.
Because I'm pretty sure he's the one that also was helping Epstein get out of these allegations.
I don't know anything about a Trump connection or anything, but
I'm not saying he's directly connected to him, but I think that happened. I'd have to look into that. I can't remember for certain, but the suit says Staley vouched for Epstein in 2011 compliance review. Jess Staley, this is a quote from the lawsuit. Jess Staley discussed the topic with Jeffrey Epstein, who replied there was no truth to the allegations, no evidence, and was not expecting any problems. Unquote. Well, he didn't, at least for another 11 years. But it says here, Staley stepped down as the CEO of Barclays Bank in November. Barclays, thank you. Barclays Bank in November 2021 after an investigation was launched into his ties with Epstein, who was charged with sex trafficking in 2019 and later found dead in a cell.
With allegedly a fracture that
doesn't happen from hanging.
Yeah, that happens from
strangulation.
Trauma, yeah. Strangulation.
Yeah, strangely enough, Staley's lawyer, Catherine Harris, declined to comment when reached out to by Insider. Yeah.
I think it was my theory on the whole thing is that it's a big capture. We did, believe we talked about how early on how the Chinese use money to essentially elite capture the United States, meaning through bribes, coercion, and just stuff like that. They capture all these elites throughout the United States. Like for example,
it's China?
No, for example, Mitch McConnell's wife.
Oh yeah,
Elaine Chao, who was President Trump's transportation secretary, I believe. Her father is originally from Taiwan.
Yeah.
But was educated on mainland China. And has a shipping company, like a global shipping company, that of course Elaine Chao and Mitch McConnell get some of the residual income of this, at least, that have ships manufactured by a Chinese ship manufacturer that also manufactures vessels for the Chinese Navy.
Sweet.
So they are part of the CCP, essentially. So that means that literally the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, could sink the United States Senate Majority Leader's in-laws business. So now tell me that that's not a conflict of interest, speaking of conflict of interest.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I think that Epstein was part of some sort of a capture scheme.
You think so?
To get pictures of all of these guys. Hey, you do our bidding now.
Blackmail them.
You do our bidding now. You get all the money, you get all the caviar, you get all the power, you get all the... But here's the plan, and if you F up, boom, we got your ass. You're ruined.
Well, if I remember correctly, isn't Galen Maxwell's father, he was like a British intelligence, or he had a lot of ties to British intelligence?
I'm not sure about that. I know I think he's a businessman, like a lot of money, but I think she's got dual British-French citizenship. But
yeah, like I said, it's been a while since I researched all this and looked into it. There's so much information out there, and we could put together an episode, but there's a lot of good podcasts and stuff out there already with it. And like I said, there's so much. But we just thought that was interesting that you guys might want to know about. So
yeah, the next one here is by far the scariest in the climax before we start BSing for a while. LouRockwell.com, I recommend that to everybody as a daily visit. To those who are not familiar with LouRockwell.com, no affiliation. LouRockwell.com, LouRockwell.com.
Yeah,
great
website.
The federal government is tracking the unvaccinated by Dr. Joseph Mercola. And I'll get right to the point here. Secret tracking program revealed, to quote the article, the new International Classification of Diseases, ICD, codes were introduced during the September 14th through 15th, 2021 ICD-10 Coordination and Maintenance Committee meeting. The ICD Committee includes representatives from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services and the NCHS. I'm not sure what that one is.
National Center for Health Statistics.
So thank you. So what they do is that when you go into the doctor and you tell them that you're unvaccinated, dude, that's going into a computer. Mm-hmm. It's all digital. So
and if you're an American citizen, lucky for you, you have a 9-digit number directly corresponding with your name and date of birth.
Your complete legal identity.
Yeah.
So yeah, boom. I mean, that's essentially how they can do it.
Where do you think all that data is going into that the NSA has been collecting on you?
Yeah, I mean...
Into a file probably with your Social Security number.
Absolutely.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. That's speculation. But it's interesting. You want to keep going on that?
Yeah. Well, the article then poses the question, why do they want to track the unvaccinated, quote, for what purpose? And then the short answer is to facilitate the implementation of vaccine passports. Dr. Robert Malone, I believe.
Yeah, he was the one that discovered and reported on this. And if you guys remember him, he was one of the creators of the mRNA technology. He made a big wave when he went on Rogan and said that children shouldn't be getting this because it doesn't make sense.
And on the same show, publicly saying that he regretted even getting the vaccine in the first place.
Yeah, and then then he was like blacklisted by MSM.
Dr. Robert Malone writes, code number Z28.310 listed above is not a code for an illness or diagnosis, but rather for non-compliance of a medical procedure. Once a person's vaccination status is coded and uploaded into large database, it can be accessed by government and private health insurers alike. The administrative state officers at the CDC have not made immunized status a reportable disease yet, in parentheses. But immunization status is listed as one of the reasons for mandatory reporting. They are just one step away from being able to collect this information without your permission. Ergo, vaccine passports made easy. In this country, not having your vaccine records up to date might mean, quote, continue the quote, the government will not restrict your airline travel. Airlines will.
Yep.
The government will not restrict your travel. Other nations will. The government will not restrict your travel. Auto rental companies will. The government will not restrict your travel. Public transportation will. The government will not restrict your travel. Private companies will.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes on to explain how the World Health Organization signed off on this.
Shocker.
They were created by the World Health Organization with the help of doctors. And apparently all private practices that don't accept insurance were not included in this deal. So that's really nice. Part of the matrix, or you're not included, right?
Yeah.
They are required to use these codes to essentially describe what a person's condition is. And once again, all of that information will be shared with whatever authority, in quotations, decides to take a look.
Yeah. It says here the codes are entered into your electronic health record and used by insurance companies for billing purposes. They're also used by statisticians who track and analyze national and global disease trends such as cancer and heart disease rates over time.
Yeah, so like actuaries probably.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. This is the article goes on to say this is a gross violation of medical privacy rights, and I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's 2 plus 2.
Airlines.
Of course it is.
It's not the airline's business what your medical record is.
No,
it's not
but,
the car rentals company.
But if they're going to collude with other private companies to do this, what are you going to do? It's their plane.
Right. You know, Canada.
Do you think the airport, come on, the past 20, 30 years of airports, how that has evolved, do you think that they're going to stand up for just allowing anybody? No. Hell no.
It all depends. Look what happened with Southwest Airlines when they tried to force all the pilots to get vaccinated, and they were like, well, we're just going to strike then, and then you guys don't make any money. How's that sound? And the airlines were hurting under COVID restrictions when people were not flying.
But it doesn't matter. That's a moot point in my opinion, and I'll tell you why.
The ESG?
Because airlines get bailed out all the time.
That's true. Boeing just got a huge bailout.
Airlines, manufacturers, they get bailed out all the time. They are already subsidized.
So, but at the same time, how long can you keep bailing out?
Until the whole thing collapses. That's what everything's teetering on right now.
And that's probably what's going to happen.
So, I mean, to kind of stick with the
article.
Yeah, the medical deal here. But I mean, it's all part of the globalist agenda to measure and track everybody.
Yeah. That's what they want.
And, hey, we won't necessarily give credence, or lip service to any of these theories about depopulation and whatnot, but look, eugenics experiments have happened before.
Yeah, in our own country.
Yeah.
In our own century.
Yeah,
well, not this century.
Lots of crazy stuff happens on Indian reservations that we don't know about, nobody finds out about. And I'm being serious.
No, that is very true. Yeah, as if we haven't screwed them enough.
Yeah.
Not we, our government. Yeah.
Where was I going with that? But yeah, this is how arguments like that, or conspiracy theories like that, get legs.
Yeah, and just like with MK Ultra, our government has done it in the past, and it wasn't just the CIA doing these operations. There was Navy, there was Army personnel doing it to our own citizens. So.
But it always starts out this way, and right, it was a big pandemic, and we're still talking about it just hasn't been right since COVID. No, what it was government. Government did all that.
Yes.
And it's just funny how whether it's the TARP bailouts and all that of 2009, whatever year, when all the troubled assets and whatnot, because of the
homework crash,
BS mortgage games that all the big banks were playing to screw little people and
make themselves millions of dollars.
Hey, you know what happened then that nobody was talking about? They just continue to talk about bad times and act like it was just one of those down troughs in the market.
Sometimes these things happen.
The banks were essentially nationalized. They bought just probably trillions of dollars worth of assets for pennies on the dollar.
Yep.
They got more rich, more powerful than ever before. And, by the way, guess what? They're even more part of the government than they ever have been.
And same thing happened again.
Same thing with COVID, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the pandemic, it hasn't been right since the pandemic. No, it was government that did it.
Yeah. corporations and millionaires and billionaires almost doubled their wealth.
It was just another power grab.
Yeah.
It always happens that way.
And we already discussed.
People can't see it.
We already discussed on our show before how, the shortages, the supply chain issues and stuff, that was all government created.
Yes.
Because they
government
laid
fiat.
off their custom border agents, so they didn't have enough people. They laid off the trucking industries and certain ones. They didn't have enough individuals to bring the goods across the country.
Right. Like you brought up one time in a podcast earlier as well. Hey, we don't have enough nurses and stuff in the hospitals. Better call up the National Guard.
Yeah.
Oh, well, how did all of the National Guard people, do they have jobs in the National Guard where they jab people all the time? Oh, probably because they joined the Army and they got their MOS was in the medical field, whether it's a combat medic or you name it. Go on down the list.
They got their medical degree and then joined.
Or probably used the Army to go to college and get a nursing degree, and they're the ones working first, second, third shift at the hospital when they're not at frickin' drill doing that stuff.
Right. Exactly.
So you're
when they're civilian soldiers.
Yeah, you're pulling
citizen soldiers.
Yeah, you're pulling nurses that are in the Guard.
Yeah, that are actively working in their community as a nurse. Yeah.
Out, and then
to go put them somewhere else. So that causes a shortage.
Yep, there's a shortage of nurses.
So they didn't really solve anything.
Just made it worse.
Yeah.
We activated the National Guard. It probably made it worse.
There's videos. Remember when we had the lumber shortage, right? There was videos of Canadian truckers in Canada lined up for miles with truckloads of lumber to bring in the U.S., but there were not enough custom border agents to allow them all to come through in the same time. So they all got backed up. And then the magic talking box was like, oh my gosh, there's a lumber shortage. Yeah. It's like, you guys created this. Same thing, we brought it up before, the baby formula one. When they shut down, Abbott, the baby formula company. And then they're like, oh my gosh, there's a baby formula shortage. Oh, holy crap.
What did we think was going to happen?
Oh, goodness. Yeah. I mean,
and next on WGN, Bozo the Clown.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but they're making the people try to look like the freaking fools here, trying to make a fool out of everybody.
Yeah.
But there's so many people that are falling for it. I mean, I get it. They pumped everybody full of fear with COVID. Oh, you're gonna die! They're showing everybody all these videos coming out of China, people just falling over dead in the street, supposedly.
So there's all these people that just aren't afraid to force a bunch of other people into stuff they don't want to do because they're scared. Because they're scared children.
Right. Just the same thing they do when they forced the Patriot Act through right after 9/11. Everybody's scared of another 9/11.
And they named it conveniently the Patriot Act.
Oh yeah, you're un-American if you don't think that you should get behind this.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because of the name. They weren't even really allowed to read it, were they?
No, just like almost all of them. I mean, follow Rand Paul on Twitter. He's always throwing it like, I'm supposed to read this in 3 hours and vote on it. And it's like a stack of 8 million pages. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
By design.
Even though I believe that's in our Constitution, that the laws aren't supposed to be written that way. Right?
I don't know.
They're supposed to be written in a way to where the common citizen, not too lengthy and full of dumb words, so where the common citizen can just, well, I wouldn't say dumb words that make the law. I mean, they have lawyers, really good lawyers, creating all these laws and stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've read through some of the stuff.
Crafty bastards.
I was like, I don't know what that word means. Got to get out the thesaurus, or not the thesaurus, the dictionary, and figure out what the heck
And the
they're
legal
talking about.
definition of the word is completely different than the just average everyday.
Yeah. So you
regular definition.
It's ridiculous.
They do that by design.
Right.
It's on purpose.
Yeah. And it's pretty crazy. But this is the world we live in. This is, it's come to this, and I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen here from this point on. Now, I'm looking into it. There are other options available for health insurance type things, like community pools. You pay a certain amount a month. Everybody, you get, they have thousands of people on there paying a month, and you're allowed to draw so much out of it for health insurance stuff. You get signed up. It's essentially, I'll have to look into that, but maybe we can have a promo code or something on our show. I don't know. We'll see. We'll talk
One of these
to
days.
folks. That's scary to me. They're already tracking us on our data and all this stuff on our phones, and
Yeah, especially when all the safety data is coming out on the vaccine now.
Right.
I mean, even Bill Maher's on TV of late saying that there's been a bunch of studies done, and it turns out natural immunity is, I'm just going to stop saying as good as, because it's better than that vaccine.
COVID idiocy. I mean, COVID itself is fading, but the idiocy is not. I still see people with masks, young people, outside. The people who, the science. Well, there's no science for that, you moron.
And everybody knows it.
They say because of why the Spanish flu is not so deadly anymore, even if we were to get it out, everybody got it and stuff, is because we are all descendants of people that survived and have the immunity in their system and their DNA that was passed down.
Yeah, right. Viruses end up not wanting to kill you.
There was, a few years ago, there was a virus going through the hog barns in all of America called PDV. It was basically like dysentery on steroids, where the hogs would just crap and
shit themselves to death.
Yeah. And it was nasty. And you want to know how they got rid of it? They had to breed these sows, the ones that survived. They had to breed new hogs out, because, I mean, hogs were dying by the millions across the country. It was crazy.
Really?
Yeah. But they had to breed these sows,
I'm sure,
with natural
nowhere
immunity.
more than Iowa, then.
I mean, yeah, and Iowa's happening all over the place.
It's the largest hog-producing state in the country.
Yep. Yeah, they had to breed these sows that had immunity to the virus, and then create new hogs that were born with natural immunity to fight it. So even if they did get it, it'd be like a common cold to them. They just get rid of it or whatever.
Like the island of Dr. Moreau. Like they had to find one of those hogs?
No.
Like a half human, half hog?
No. Nothing like that. But, this has been happening for a long time. These corporations that own farms and stuff and deal with livestock, guess what? They've dealt with this stuff. And they know how to get these diseases out.
Yeah.
Herd immunity.
Which is the best immunity. It's kind of how the species works, It's weird.
Like I've said before, how we survived on the face of the earth this long without vaccines.
Weird. It's weird how Ebola kills a few thousand people and then disappears.
And then shows back up again.
Yeah, because it went off into the jungle and mutated and came back and can kill humans again, because it's a new virus essentially.
Yeah, it's different.
Nature gain of function in probably primates with immune systems and whatnot similar to ours. Who knows?
Weird.
But
yeah, pretty interesting stuff going on.
Yeah.
So
all sorts of interesting stuff.
Yep.
In the war being waged on the American people. It seems to me like there's a war being waged on the American people.
Absolutely.
Tracking the unvaccinated. Bunch of trains derailing everywhere. And
we didn't even talk about that, though.
Chemical plants going up in flames.
Yeah.
Food production facilities going up in flames. Whoa, we got to hit on an earlier point. We got a meat shortage.
Oh yeah,
shut all the pork producers or the slaughterhouses down.
Yeah, kill them all and don't do anything with the meat
because of COVID tests. Because the COVID tests that we established were being misused to inflate numbers.
Weird. And how long it took them a while to find even a rapid COVID test that was actually accurate.
No, it's not accurate.
Yeah, and they still don't have one that's 100%.
No.
So ridiculous.
PCR is accurate if you, apparently in layman's terms, cycle it the right amount of times. But Fauci got on a program a few years ago stating, the PCR test is practically worthless if you cycle it over 35 times. You'll get false positives all over the place. Well, they were routinely cycling up to 40 times.
Didn't know that. That's
so everybody's positive for COVID that takes the damn test. Everybody. I'm being hyperbolic, obviously.
Well, even people that, I feel fine. Don't have anything wrong with me.
Yeah.
Nope, you got COVID.
Nope, you got to sit in your house, and tons of people not make any money for 2 weeks.
Yeah, crazy times we live in, man. Well, anyway, if you guys like this episode, please follow, subscribe, share with your friends, your family.
Share it with your mother.
Share it with your mother-in-law.
Your father.
And your father-in-law.
Your uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters.
Yeah.
your crazy cousin's boyfriend. You don't recognize.
And his mother.
Yeah. His mama.
Share with everybody. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate if you guys rate, too. If you give us a 5-star rating or whatever you deem...
No, a 5-star rating.
It'd be awesome if you did that. But whatever you want to give us, we would appreciate it.
Yeah. Ultimately.
Also...
We're going to come out into this shop and record anyway.
Yeah. Technically, we do have a website. I know that the last episode said the website's coming. We do have a website. It's just being redirected to our Podbean right now. So we're getting that built, worked on. We got the Twitter at Iowa Talk Guys. And we got the Instagram at Iowa Talk Guys Podcast. Links are in the description. If you guys want to reach out to us and get on the show and do a fan phone-in with us, then just send me an email, Teepee at Iowatalkguys.com.
Teepee. Wait,
Teepee.
Teepee. Teepee.
Yeah.
Teepee.
Like golf T and then P.
Yeah.
You're in. Dot at Iowatalkguys.com.
Dot at Iowatalkguys.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
just got it.
Hit us up. I appreciate it. We really thank you guys for listening. Love you guys. We hope you enjoy the show.
Don't eat the yellow cake.
Don't ever eat the yellow cake.
Or drink the Kool-Aid.
Yep. So, all right, guys.
But the devil comes in quietly, bearing flowers, according to the late Pope Benedict. So, remember that.
I would talk guys out.